Good evening, amazing people. It's Mark Wilkinson here with another monthly episode of Straight Talking, where we get fantastic guests come on and talk about their experience, their life experience, and all the sort of things that have happened to them and the things they can offer to you and the experience they've got. And tonight is absolutely no exception. I mean, we've had some incredible people. You know, Fatboy Slim was a huge name we had on. We've had Kenny Thomas, Harry Singer, Danny Rampling. We've had numerous people come on. I can't list all of the names, of course, but numerous people have come on over the last 12 months or so to share their truth and do a bit of straight talking with me. And tonight is a very special guest, singer-songwriter Talia Dean. Now, I first became aware of Talia when I got a message from a friend of mine who said, switch BBC Radio 2 on quickly because they're talking about ankylosing spondylitis. And actually, you need to hear this. And so I immediately put BBC Radio 2, and I think she'll correct me, but I think it was Jeremy Vine's show. Yeah, I can see Talia nodding in the green room. So it was Jeremy Vine's show. And Talia was on there talking to Jeremy Vine about ankylosing spondylitis and her experience. And that first time I became aware of her, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is like really exactly the same as Life Remixed and the story that I've got. And so I wanted to reach out to her. So I spoke to the charity, the National Ankylosing Spondylitis Society. And we've been connecting, you know, on and off ever since. And it's been a very, very interesting journey that's going to lead to even more creativity and positive vibes. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in the wonderful singer-songwriter, Talia Dean. Here she is. Hi, Talia. It's all about the eyes.
You got to pretend that you weren't ready. It's just more funny like that.
Well, yeah, to be fair, you nailed that. I mean, that's not going to.
I should have been like, all right, Mark.
All right, how's it going? That wouldn't have come across on the podcast, but on the visual side of things, that was perfect. So
for those on the podcast, I was blowing my nose.
So first of all, Talia, really, really grateful that you're here. Thank you for joining us on Straight Talking. I know you're a busy single mother with a busy musical career, doing some incredible things in your life right now, which we're going to cover tonight over the course of the coming minutes. But the bit I left out of the story there was that I was at the Axial Spa public relations event that they recently launched, and you spoke in a lot more depth about your experience of ankylosing spondylitis and what actually occurred in your life. And I'm quite open, emotional kind of guy. I got a tear. I was like, oh my goodness, you know, what a story. Because it resonated so much with my own as well, you know, slightly different experience as in what we were doing at the time and stuff like that. But really, really, you know, powerful story. I'd love you to share some of it if you wouldn't mind.
Well, yeah, I have this disease. Well, we call it Axial Spa now, don't we? Axial spondyloarthritis. There's lots of different versions of it, but the whole umbrella term is Axial Spa. And 1 in every 200 have it. It's more common than Parkinson's and MS put together. So it is extremely common. It generally starts with lower back pain, deep hip pain, fatigue, and under 40, you know, people under 40. So it's really strange that, you know, something so common was just misdiagnosed, and I was misdiagnosed for 15 years. I had this pain that, you know, just made me unable to walk some days. It eased with movement, but if I sat down for a long time, I was literally paralyzed. It was agony. It was like a deep pain in my bum and in my hip, my lower spine. And anyway, I'd lived with that for a really long time. But unfortunately for me, my career choice was to be a professional dancer. Was very good at it, very bendy. And I was already on the road to that. I was at college getting my diploma to go on to university, and it just turned my life upside down. Bearing in mind, I hadn't been diagnosed by that point. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 34. So we're talking from 17 until 34. I've had this pain in the arse, quite literally. And
I know what you mean.
Yeah, well, you know that pain in the arse, Mark. So yeah. and then I eventually did get a diagnosis when I was 34, but it was too late. My spine had fused, so it was too late for me. So now I campaign to try and nip it in the bud in people that is it bud? Nip it in the bud or nip it in the butt?
No, I think we'll go with the bud. Go with that.
Nip it in the bud for people that are going through similar things with me, because if you can catch it before the bones fuse, then you'll be okay, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's an incredible story. I mean, I was misdiagnosed, or nobody could diagnose it, for 18 months, and I think that was a long time to go through that pain, you know, of, you know, not knowing what it was, no doctor to being able to tell me what it was, and it getting worse and worse and worse, and the joints fusing and not being able to walk, and just becoming almost, I was skinny thin, and like, you know, and I was 30 something and I didn't have a clue what was going on, and it was just bizarre. And you know, to hear your story of, like, was it 15 years or even longer, maybe even 16, 17 years of pain?
Well, yeah, it was definitely over 15, but I can't quite pinpoint it exactly. But I think the thing is, had I have pursued, you know, relentless, they would have found it. But when they don't find it after 5 months, you think, oh, I can't be bothered anymore. Then you leave it for a year. Then you go back and go, my pain's back. And then they send you somewhere else. And it was just very on, off. And also, I think what happens is when you've got a pain that people cannot find, they then go down the route of, well, perhaps you're depressed, and perhaps, you know, you've got some mental health. Why don't we do some counseling? You know, stress, it could be stress. The stress in your body is causing this pain. So I've just made myself believe that I've done that to myself, and I've been under so much stress. Because I did live a very wild, colourful life, and I thought that, you know, that's the result of, well, you know, you're a DJ, you know what this life's like. I thought that's the result. Well, that's what I've done, and I made myself believe that not only was it in my head, but I'd done that to myself. And a lot of people that have AS have their mental health condition that goes alongside that, because we're just like, oh. And I think people with fibromyalgia as well, they can really resonate with that, being told you're crazy, there's no pain there. You know, we've done x-rays, we've done MRIs, we've done blood tests, there's nothing there. And you think, well, I'm fucking crazy then. I'm crazy and I'm imagining this pain, because, like, if you can't find it and you're the professionals, then come and cart me off. Get me the white jacket, because I'm imagining pain here.
Yeah.
And I wasn't all that time. But you know what? My pain is under management now, but that mental health side of things, that health anxiety, that never left me. That's deep set. That's cut me like a knife and scarred. I will never get over that. And it's worse than the actual inflammation.
I understand. I know I've obviously written a book about this as well, you know, living with and coping. And one of the things in one of the songs that, you know, I might end up doing a great dance remix for you called Get Up, actually has a line.
You've just dropped the exclusive, Mark.
Just, you know, it has a line in it about have an attitude of gratitude.
No, we've got to tell them properly now. You can't drop that and not tell them properly.
You go.
Okay, so Mark and I have teamed up, and we have both decided to remix Get Up. Yep. And we are going to put it out as a dance track, aren't we? And we're going to try and get people up.
Yes.
Especially people with AS. Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's a message in the music. And one of the lines in it, which I love, is like, you know, cultivate an attitude of gratitude. I think it's in either, you know, in the chorus or the verse, but it's beautiful. And they played it on Radio 2 when I was listening to you earlier this year on the Jeremy Vine thing. And I was like, and I got it straight away, and I was like, yes, Talia, yes, we need to talk. And, you know, there's something in life called the law of attraction, which brings people together to create stuff. And yeah, absolutely, 100%. You know, we're going to do something very, very special. So yeah, and you know, your story resonates with me and with lots of other people. And one of the things I would say is that it's incredible to me that not enough people know about Axial Spa. or indeed these rheumatic conditions? Because it took me down, and it took away my music career in a big way, took away your dance career in a big way, and it takes away people's lives, you know, without them really understanding. And the fact that, what do you say, it's more, it turns up more in people's lives than MS and Parkinson's. Is that what you said?
More. So there's more people with AS than Parkinson's and MS put together. So if you combine Parkinson's and AS and MS, there's still more people with AS. It's an incredibly common disease.
And I think it comes in lots of variants as well. Not variants, it's probably the wrong word, but levels of, so some people just get a little bit of pain, and like you, perhaps in the early days, you were like, I'll just try and get on with it. I'll just try and get on with it and cope with it. Maybe some painkillers and stuff like that. And then there's some very severe,
Yeah, and the mistake that a lot of people make, and it's funny because AS, I think, this is my personal opinion, this is not a professional medical opinion, but in my opinion, I think it's triggered by trauma. So, for example, before my AS flare-up, the first ever one, which knocked me for 6, I'd had a car crash. And I always put that pain down to the car crash. Oh, I must have really landed on it funny, and I must have. And that scenario is so common with so many people. I put it down to a fall. I had a fall down the stairs, and people tend to link this agony with a traumatic event. And then years later, obviously for me, I think, God, it wasn't even that car crash at all. Perhaps that triggered it because my car flipped. It was very traumatic. It wasn't necessarily the cause of the pain in my hip, but maybe that instant I'm going to die gave me that inflammation. It's all internal, fierce inflammation, isn't it? It's coming from somewhere.
Yeah, and I think we a lot of us, and certainly that's what I've written a book about Life Remixed, is to try and sort of join these dots and understand, actually the further, more developed I get, and so the better I am at dealing with life, the less chance there is of the health going bad again, shall we say. And certainly, you made that point about health anxiety. I mean, I'm here for you anytime. We can talk about that anytime. I don't want you to suffer with that. I think the point is that, very often it's about getting, stuff out and actually talking about it in public. And hey, here we are in public talking about it, right? And I think that, the positive part of this, and by the way, there's a few people joining us. And so Jim's just saying, hi, guys. Jim's got a really good podcast that I'm going to go on in a couple of weeks.
Hi, Jim.
Jim up there in Scotland. Alan, another guy in Scotland as well. So it's good interview. 2 cool dudes. I think he's talking about you there. And he's also talking about the track, and he says great news. So that's really cool. So thanks, guys. If you want to say hi, wherever you're watching us on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, you want to pop something on the screen and be a part of it, then you can do, of course. So the comeback story, because we need to talk about the comeback story, don't we?
Comeback.
Well, okay, I would call it.
Where did I go?
Well, you struggled from the dance career, obviously, that you'd chosen.
Coming back from the dance. Yeah,
and the comeback story is, okay, so reinvent yourself in something that, you've got, obviously, many talents, but, another talent another string to your bow, singer-songwriter. Was that always in your bones, or is that something?
Well, thank God I'm an amazing singer, because could you imagine, what would I actually be doing? I'd probably still be at the airport, but I never wanted to be just a dancer. I wanted to be a singer, dancer. I wanted to be the next J-Lo. I wanted to just really have my dancing. So I always knew I could hold a tune, but I had never thought I would dive so deep into music the way I had. And the funny thing about it is it's always been there, and I never even realized. I was so musical as a child, and I was so good with writing. I wrote songs upon songs. My first ever song I wrote, I was about 8 and a half. So it's always been there. I just never realized that I was this singer until people started telling me, you're really good at singing. You're really good at writing. And I was like, am I? Oh, maybe I'll try it out.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the fact that you started to dig deep, obviously, when you were going through some pain. I think that's a real special moment in many ways. I often say in every crisis there's an opportunity, and the crisis of me losing my music career has led me to doing what I'm doing now. And I think if you sort of go back and join the dots, you can actually find some sense in it, if you like. So
yeah.
But yeah, we're getting a few more coming up here. John was also at Heathrow with me. This is great conversation, guys, watching us there on YouTube. Great to have you here, John. And Jenna's joining us from Canada, and she says, "Good afternoon, Mark and Talia." So there we go.
Hi, Jenna. Hi, John. Hi, Facebook user. No name.
Can you see that?
I can. I can.
I didn't know you could see that as well. Right. So yeah, hi, Facebook user. It's great to have you here. So you worked at the airport. You worked at Heathrow. Obviously, I worked there as well. I mean, you were working with the VIPs, correct?
Yeah, I always had a job, even when I was dance training. I always had to work. Yeah, I was a VIP concierge. It's kind of like a meet and greet, but we have a lot more responsibility. So if Elton John doesn't catch his flight, we get our head severed. Like it was a lot of responsibility, and we were meeting royalty. We were making sure that people were having their cars on the tarmacs, and so I would say it was like a meet and greet, but it was quite intense. So my job was quite I had to be responsible.
The closest I got to that was with my construction colleagues. We fitted out the Royal Suite on the tarmac. The one that's right in the middle of the airport where the cars come up to
the Windsor Suite.
There you go. Yeah. So we fitted that out because it needed a bit of a lick of paint and all that. So me and my guys were in there sorting that out. But no, I mean, the bottom line is you're working with celebrities. Obviously, you're making sure that they reach their destination and that kind of stuff. And sometimes that can be quite a stressful job, certainly, because I've seen Rocket Man and I've seen Bohemian Rhapsody, and I know, I mean, I was those guys, but I was just on a backing singer's budget, right? They were absolutely knocking it out of the park, with the finances, so they could pretty much do what they wanted. But then, of course, you must have had this sort of light bulb moment where you thought to yourself, "I'm going to go on X Factor."
No, that wasn't me. I didn't do X Factor. What are you talking about?
No. Of course not. You're far too cool for that. However, I don't think it's I mean, talent shows, we could talk about that, all that kind of stuff, but I've seen.
No, look, don't get me wrong. I really loved being on X Factor. I really loved it. I enjoyed it. I got the best vocal training. I stayed in the best hotels. They took me to South Africa, for fuck's sake. Like, what is there not to like? Like, I literally had a ball. But was it good for my career? Probably not. It didn't harm it, but honestly, where I'm at now, I've got to purely on my own. When I came out of X Factor, I had about 8,000 followers, and still no one had a clue who the fuck I was. Where I am now, I really had to graft. I was not memorable. It was it was the worst series. I think they barely pulled in 2 million viewers. Like it was on the nosedive at that point. So it wasn't career-wise the best decision I ever made, but it opened my eyes a lot, not only to me as a singer and who do I want to be, but also the music industry and what they're churning and how the world works. And I was like, fuck that. I don't want to even win this show. Like, get me out first. But I made it all the way to the finals, and that was it. That was me gone. I actually got kicked out twice, and the public brought me back twice. And that was when I thought, you know what? They like me. The producers might not like me, but the public like me, and I'm happy with that. And I'm the only one of my series, apart from Grace Davis, only of last month, that has ever had a hit, ever continued like working and made the charts. She's done really well, and I've done really well. She won, I think, and I came out first. So it's on par,
I mean, it's fascinating, when I can't say I've ever really followed it particularly closely. I mean, there's some wonderful singers, and I love the fact that it gives people the opportunity, as The Voice does as well. It gives, or when it was on TV a lot, it was giving people the opportunity to actually get out and show there's so much talent. I mean, I often, I watched your demo to Simon Cowell when you first walked in off the street and did your demo. And
when I first walked in off the street.
Well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. When you first walked in for your first attempt, if you like,
Yeah.
And you absolutely nailed it. And I remember watching it and thinking, your nerves, your anxiety must have been quite high at that moment. Would I be right, or did you have so much belief in yourself? You're just like, here we go, let's get on with it.
At that point, I didn't give a shit whether I got through or not. I think I just made it that far, because you got to think I went through 4 rounds before I even met them 4 judges.
Okay.
And I thought, you know what? All I want to do is just meet Simon. I love him. And still, even to this day, he's the nuts. I love him. I think he's so cool. And I just wanted to meet him. So at that point, I just thought, even just to get here and be shown on telly, I would be so grateful, Yeah. So that was the most easiest audition. I knew who I was then. As the weeks went on, and the talking started, and the manipulation, and this is what you wear, this is what you sing, that's when I started to not know who I was, and not and get confused and get blindsided, and then I think my worst audition, the worst point that I feel sick and I'm really nervous and I don't know who I am anymore, was just at the judges' houses, and I actually wet myself.
Okay, I feel like I'm not sure if I want to say too much information or tell me more about that.
I was so nervous that I wet, like the fear. Like, I'm just telling you how scared I was. I'm standing in Africa, and I was, and the nerves were like that, and I was so terrified that I wet my pants.
Wow, my God. That's high anxiety, right? I mean,
that's high anxiety. And I said to the producer, I said, I've just wet my pants. Like, I really am scared. And I remember standing there with crossed legs, Mark, thinking, I just can't do this. Yeah. And I was holding my wee, and they wouldn't let me go to the toilet. And we were standing there for hours, and I wet myself just a little bit. And they went, okay, Nicole's ready for you now. I was like, oh my God. So when you go back and watch that footage of me being told I didn't make it, I've wet my pants.
I'm thinking about your wet pants right now. I mean, this question has come up, but I'm not sure. Did they ask you to apply?
No. No. And I was the one out of the whole series, after the final 15. It was just me and one other person that actually physically walked in off the street. The rest was scouted.
Okay, wow. So it's it's a whole different world, isn't it? I mean, the mental and emotional work that people go through to get onto TV, to be in those shows, and the politics as well. And you make a great point. This is what you're going to sing. This is what you're going to wear. This is what, and you're like, well, hold on a minute. I'm a singer-songwriter of my own. I've got my own skills here, and you want me to go and do that, for entertainment's sake. You're kind of losing your soul a little bit there, aren't you?
If you look at my first audition and then look at my last, you'll be like, the first one, I'm wearing ripped jeans that look like I'd been in a car accident. And then the last one, I look like I'm just about to swan down, I don't know, some rich area, going for lunch in some brasserie somewhere, and it was really spun on its head, and I didn't even know who I was anymore, and I was singing One Direction.
Oh, of course, right up your street.
And I was like, can I at least make it a bit more, can I change it? And they went, yeah, we'll slow it down into a ballad. Oh, right, well, you might as well order my cab then, because I'm definitely going home this week.
Yeah, I mean, at least I guess we can laugh about it now, but I hope you managed to keep your sense of humour all the way through.
I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I loved it. I got the thing is as well, you got to think, I still wasn't diagnosed at that point, and I was still getting tired. I said to them, I can't eat everything. It's, we can't really eat gluten and stuff like that. And they were all doing pizzas every night. So by Christmas, by the final weeks of the show, I was as sick as a dog, and I still didn't know why. So I'm also dealing with that. They have you up at 6 a.m. and you're home at midnight. It was a lot. It was a lot, but I learned a lot about myself.
And also, you said about the vocal coaching and stuff like that. I think that's really, there's value in that as well. I just want a few people saying, yo, Talia, I'm at work, but pop in as I can. That's from Sarah there.
Sarah. Yeah, I know Sarah.
And Nicole's just saying, really interesting listening to how you guys have kind of run side by side for a while before this. Nicole is actually going to have a discovery call with me in about a week or so because she suffers with AS as well.
Okay, cool.
And Nicole, hey, listen, there's always hope, right? There's always hope. Definitely shows everything happens for a reason in life, and yet we don't know why until the time is right. There you go. Yeah, it's very, very, very true. Very, very true. But we've all got a story. And talking of stories as well, obviously, you did that for a while. The whole X Factor thing for a few months. Then you've come out of it. Tell me a bit more about the music career. Tell me a bit more about the Talia Dean journey since then.
Well, I'm very lucky. I come out the show kind of knowing that that was it. That was the end of the road for me. So now I've got to work really, really hard. Where most contestants think that they're going to be picked up by some Hollywood producer or something and they're going to make it. But I was very, very aware that no, now I've got to start grinding. So I did, and I started writing. I play piano, I play guitar. I started writing music. I started really putting my feelings down on paper, and I also, from working at the airport, had a very big address book, and a lot of contacts. So I knew I'd always be all right. I know how this industry works. And I had a very, very good friend that I made at the airport who actually really gave me that self-belief and that positivity and that drive to release a single following that journey. And I did.
And who was that?
Oh, it was some guy that plays guitar in Queen. I don't know if you know him. Big hair.
I've just got this vision of like, oh yeah, something like my mate's in a band. Oh, is he? Oh yeah, okay. Like everyone's got a mate in a band, haven't they? I mean, my mate's in a band. Who's that? Oh yeah, Brian May from Queen. You're like, so that's how that relationship came about, basically. And then you've written together, right?
Yeah, a couple of times actually. He's just so amazing. Like, he's a genius. He's a musical genius, and he's also got a personality that works really well with mine. I'm not the easiest of people to work with, especially in a creative surrounding, and he can really work with me really well, and I can work with him. So we actually just made magic, and he transformed a song that I had already had, that I'd written about having AS, into this big anthem. And it was the anthem of the pandemic, and it just went viral. All the TV shows were playing it. Everyone was dancing to it. It was the most amazing experience from my living room, because obviously we were all locked up, weren't we? So it was really cool. Yeah.
Amazing. And did I read that you've had 2 iTunes #1s? Is that correct?
Yeah. So Get Up went nationally to number 12, which is incredible. That's my first ever single. And then following on, I released Dancing in the Rain with Brian. That made top 40. And then I split from my band, and I wanted to go solo as Talia Dean. Mm-hmm. And following that, I released 2 singles, and they both went to number 1. One was part of a film, and the other one, I'd gone back to my roots. So the first 2 singles were very poppy, but me going solo, I decided, no, I'm going back to who I am. I want to go back to blues music. So I started writing some real raw original material, and I'm so happy because it went to number 1 in the UK and number 6 in America. Like, you just couldn't ask for any more, really.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you've got to be really grateful for that. And I almost feel like, I mean, that's a wonderful comeback, if you want to call it that, from obviously the experience of AS, which is, of course, is incurable, right? And so it can stick with us. And if we get under like extreme stress or eat the wrong diet and stuff like that, it can certainly flare up, at other times. But the fact that you've gone from that to this, You know, living in a nice part of town these days. I know you're from Hounslow originally. We've got someone here saying, "Is Miss Talia taking questions?" Sure, why not? Yeah, you're gonna take
well, you've got to ask.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We need to find out.
It's always a worry, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll vet the question for you, Talia. But yeah, I mean, you know, to go from that to where you are, you know, with that story, even just as we come out of lockdown, you know, my belief is that 2022 is going to really pick up, and we're going to, you know, start to get back to a life that we used to know 2 or 3 years ago, and things, you know, more live events and stuff like that, you know, so that's going to be, you know, good progress for us all. But as far as, you know, that sort of success story, you know, I want to see where you're going to go next. That's a good question. But another question I want to ask you before that is, you know, musical influences. I mean, you mentioned the blues straight away. I mean, give me some, you know, history behind that. Where's that come from? Who's your favorite artists, favorite songs, anything like that you want to share?
Well, growing up, I had a really unusual taste in music. I was listening to, I guess a lot of it came from movies, but I was listening to the Blues Brothers, you know.
Great film. That
was the first time ever I watched that, and I was really young, and I went, whoa, what is this? Like, everyone's playing an instrument, like, and it sounds cool, and it's not like showbiz, you know, jazz hands. It's not that. It's actually fucking cool. The power in it, I can feel it. I can feel this music. What is it? But I just always thought it was a movie. You know, it's just songs in a movie. I had no idea that they had pulled in, you know, Bleeding Gums Murphy, Aretha Franklin, you know, just like they had everybody in this film, and I had no idea because I was a child. I didn't know these were big stars.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, there's loads of them in there, isn't it?
Honestly, it's one of my favourite films. I've watched it hundreds of times. The bit where James Brown is in the church, and he's like, "I have seen the lights," and it comes down, and they all start doing that mad dancing. And the other bit is obviously Aretha Franklin. You know, you better think, you know, and all that is just amazing. And I absolutely love the last track. Everybody needs somebody to love. What a record! All of these songs.
And Ray Charles is in it as well.
Ray Charles is in it as well, and he just starts playing, and you're like, it's just honestly, you make me want to go and watch the film again. It's so good.
Twist it, shake it, baby. Yeah, but you know, so when you're a child, you don't know who these people are. You're just watching a movie, and you're thinking, it's a musical. And it was only when I got older I thought, oh my God, this guy has an album. Like, this is Ray Charles. He doesn't just have an album. He has
in a film.
Yeah, I thought he was just like, you know, an extra in a movie. I didn't know. I was so young. And Aretha Franklin as well, you know, and that's where it really, really set in. But I got a lot of my influences from movies. So one of the other first ever times that I went, wow, and you probably did as well, but for a completely different reason, was Jessica Rabbit when she came out from behind the curtain. And
fittest drawing I've ever seen.
It was just unbelievable. And I think Kathleen Turner does the voice for her, and she does it so perfectly. And she sings, and it's the bass, the double bass, and I just thought, whoa, what is this? This is music, like real music, you know, because at the time on the piano, sorry, I'm touching a piano here as we speak. At the time on the radio, it was all Kylie, Jason, you know, Madonna, all of that. But I was really, really digging this jazz. So yeah, it wasn't accessible to me on my music player. It was accessible to me through movies, and it was only when I got older that I went, these are real artists. This is a real genre here.
Yeah.
And I loved it all. I really, really did. And my mum says to me, the first ever song I danced to was Reet Petite.
Oh, what I used to go to Magnum's in Richmond when I was about 17 or 18 and drink bottles of I forgot the beer now anyway, but yeah, drink bottles of beer, and and sing Reet Petite to the top of my lungs every single Friday and Saturday night. And it was what a record! What a record!
It is. It's marvelous. It's marvelous, and I fell in love with it, but I didn't know what it was, and nobody ever told me.
Hang on. Jim's come in. Cab Calloway. Yes, Jim. Yes. Spot on, mate. Yeah, great track.
Yeah, Minnie the Moocher was just another one, iconic from that movie. There isn't a one bad song.
No, there's not. It's just that the entire film, and I'm going to have to watch it again now we've spoken about it, because it's
I might.
Yeah, I think we need to have a movie night. It's just one of those moments where you go, what a great film. And by the way, the comedy, you know, Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, and when they do the Blues Brothers, and they turn up at that bar, the Good Old Boys, and they have to sing Rawhide about like 30 times, otherwise they're going to get bottled and stuff. It's a great film. Oh my god!
What is it? I'll have four fried chickens.
4 fried chickens and a Coke, and have 2 pieces of dry toast.
Toast.
Yeah. Jake Elwood. Anyway, anyone that hasn't seen the film is going to think we've got a bit bonkers right now, but it's a brilliant.
Go and watch the Blues Brothers, the first one.
Highly recommend you watch the Blues Brothers and message Talia and I and tell us what you think about it.
Tell us if you love it. So yeah, that's where that all started.
So that question was, what was the name of your piece of work that was 6th place in the United States? That's
it's called The Devil I Know by King's Daughters. So the band I was in was called King's Daughters.
Sure, The Devil I Know. Great stuff. Okay, so they can find that, I'm sure. But that's brilliant. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. So that's where all this influence came from. And where's it going, Talia?
It's going back to Chicago, baby.
Okay, I'm down with Chicago. It's the home of house music right there. So I'm happy with that.
Well, that's where they filmed the Blues Brothers as well. So it all just ties in, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm really down and dirty. I really do want to go back to Chicago blues. There's no blues scene here in England. Not that I found. There's certainly not one in London. And I'm desperate to make some old school blues. So even going back after the Blues Brothers, I then done a lot of searching in my 30s. You know, what is blues? Where does it come from? And it took me right back to Muddy Waters, you know, Little Richard, you know, all these massive artists, that where it really originated from, when it was called devil music, you know.
I think my granddad might have called it that, but yeah, I'll take your point. Yeah,
it was called devil music, you know, and it all started with with you know, they were playing it in churches, you know, it was church, it was gospel, and then they took it out of the church and started to put, oh, my baby, she's left me, and changed the lyrics. So it wasn't like the Lord anymore. They're singing about relationships, and it just caused uproar. And
then Elvis Presley turned up on the TV and started, you know, doing his raunchy moves, and then it the shit really hit the fan then.
Yeah, and he stole the show. But I want to go right back, take it back to where it originated from, you know, the real black blues music, because that's where it began for me. You know, not at Elvis Presley, you know, and the only white guy I know that I know at my age, I mean, I'm sure there's loads, but that can really play and appreciate where the blues really came from, it's probably Keith Richards. He's just so down with the Muddy Waters and everything. So my goal is to get him. Yeah. I'm gonna nail Keith Richards one day, not in that way.
No, I hear. I wasn't going there, but I'm glad you did.
I'm not going to nail Keith Richards in that way, but I'm definitely going to nail him down to his guitar and get him to play.
You'll definitely make the front page of the Sun if you were to do that. But anyway, that's fine. But no, listen, that's musically. What a great goal to have. What a great goal.
I want to go back. I don't think there's any reason why we're not listening to blues music still. What, it's not cool? Well, who says? I really love it, and it brings me so much happiness, and it's real, it's raw. You know, who doesn't feel passion when they listen to Etta James, you know, or when they listen to Ella Fitzgerald, you know, or people like this, who doesn't feel that? It's real, but people ain't doing it no more. So I've got to go back. I've got to go back to Chicago, and I've got to really find these deep roots.
Well, honestly, I mean, I love the I love the way you're talking, and I love your passion, because your passion is the key to this. You know, your passion for songwriting, and actually, you know, creating your own version of this wonderful music. I mean, I was always an 80s soul boy, you know, and often joke about the fact that inside this glasses wearing white body, I am basically, you know, a little black kid dancing to soul music, right? I mean, it's just who I am. And so, you know, I've always been in soulful music, and that's soulful house is obviously, you know, my thing. You know, I think that there's a great deal of work that we can do together. You know, we'll start with Get Up and then we'll see where it goes. But the fact that you have such a wonderful voice and you can write the songs, and the fact that I can remix them, you know, when you want to do a dance mix, I think that's a beautiful combination, particularly for two people that have suffered the way we've suffered with pain, and be able to actually, you know, remix our lives. See what I did there? You know.
Oh, haven't you written a book?
I don't know. It's award winning. I don't know. I just.
Well, you've got a lot of copies there, Mark. You might want to sell them.
There's a few more still to go out. Yeah, I need to sign them. But a couple of other things as well that I just wanted to run past you as well, that we just watched the other day. There's the Aretha Franklin biopic, Respect, with Jennifer Hudson.
Oh, you watched that? Where did you watch it? What
on Sky now? It's on Sky. You can watch it. You can, you know, you have to pay for it. I don't have
Sky.
Yeah. It's you can get it. It's on. It's out and about. Don't worry.
Jennifer Hudson is just an unbelievable force of nature.
Yeah,
isn't she? One of the best voices I've ever heard. I mean, who takes an Oscar before Beyonce knows? Jennifer Hudson. That's who.
Can you imagine trying to? I mean, I can't. Obviously, you know, this specky white bloke. I can't imagine even trying to like emulate, you know, the greatest soul singer of all time in a film. You know, what a mission. But she does a great job. She was handpicked by Aretha. There you go. I didn't know that. But
before she died, she said, I want you to play me in my movie.
Okay.
Imagine that.
That's a passable impression, Talia, as well. I'll give you that.
I know her very well.
You've got a big future in treading the boards if you need to. I mean, look, there's a few other things obviously that I want to cover with you, and you know, the journey is amazing, Talia, and I really appreciate you being here. You've spoken quite eloquently about you know, the challenges of being a single mother in the music industry and making your way through. You know, and obviously coping as well with that, and the dis-ease and the, you know, the AS and stuff like that. I mean, is there anything you'd like to share about your resilience and anything that you've got that that you could help other people with, perhaps?
Oh, well, I just cry every day.
Can't get it out. Yeah, that's right. Cry every day, pee yourself on occasion. It's fine.
No, that's never happened again. That was a one-off, and I was so scared.
I'm joking. Anyway, yeah.
You can see the headlines now.
Oh no, I'm joking.
Do you know what? I never resent, you know, oh, I could be doing this now if I wasn't, because having a mum, being a mum and having my child was the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, it was my choice. So I don't ever think negatively. That, of course, I'm human. There are times where I think, oh, I could really do with a nanny, or I could really just not be doing puzzles right now. I really need to get to work. But you have to just ride the rough with the smooth. I have to juggle a lot. I have to juggle as a mum a lot. There are a lot of singers that go on tour and they don't take their children with them, and they do have nannies, or they're men who can leave their kids at home with the mum, you know. But there's also a lot of female musicians who are mums that don't have that option. And it's really hard. I mean, taking my child to a band rehearsal is painful, you know, because he's bored and it's loud. But there's no other choice. You just have to go for it and keep going. Luckily, the hardest was when he was a baby, you know, before school, because they are with you all the time. When they start school, you do get a little bit of freedom. But honestly, it nearly killed me. He was a toddler when I was in X Factor. And, you know, I was going through a breakup at the time. And just the mum guilt is just unbelievable. Some people don't have it. Some people are really strong and can just go, right, can you have the kid and go off? But even when I know he's well looked after and I'm going to Manchester to sing, or I'm going anywhere, there's a slight pain that never goes away. And it's really hard. And, you know, and on top of that, I'm battling AS and I'm tired all the time. People say to me, "Oh, but you look really well. Can't believe you have this disease." Well, I do, and you know, I'm on meds. I take meds, and that's why I can perform how I do. But God, it wipes me. It absolutely wipes me. You see 20% of my life. If you saw the rest, you would see how I'm always in bed. I'm always in bed, and I'll get up, make dinner, do a puzzle, I went to the farm today. But as soon as I'm in the door, I have to lay down for 20 minutes because I'm just wiped all the time. So yeah, it's tough. But I'm hoping things will change, you know, that the more successful I get and the more my album sells, the more I'll be able to get some help. And
no doubt about it. And you will attract that because you're positive mindset and not allowing stuff to get you down, and keep smiling. Basically, you know, we've laughed our way through the last 45 minutes, and it's been really lovely. And you know, you've got a great smile and you can sing and you're talented, and so things will continue to happen for you, Talia. I'm absolutely sure of that. Jim makes a very good point, something I was thinking. Actually, I'm not going to take the credit completely, Jim, but Jim makes a really good point. You're teaching obviously your son the principle of doing what it takes to get things done. A lesson that most kids will never have. And I was thinking that, you're teaching him how to follow his passion and do his thing, and him watching you, him watching you is going to be inspirational. There's no doubt about it.
That's very nice. He doesn't actually give a shit about what I do. He just wants to play with his dinosaurs. Maybe he'll look back.
I was going to say, you think that now, but
maybe
what you're doing is impressing upon his subconscious, and he will learn from that and look at his mum and go, my mum was superstar. Do you know what I mean? And look, you're amazing.
Hope so.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. You're an amazing, strong person with great passion and drive. I think you might end up being a guest on Jim's podcast as well at some point. That's really something. And
I showed him a video the other day of me at a rehearsal, and he was just a baby in the seat, and he said to me, "Oh, who's that?" And I said, "That's you." And he said, "Oh, I don't remember that." And I thought, do you know what? I'm glad I've got this video, because when he's older, I can say, "Do you know how I struggled for you? Do you know how I had to drag you around everywhere?"
Get the violin out for you.
So I'm collecting my credits for when he gives me shit, and I can go, look what I did. Look at my life I put on hold for you. Oh, you had to put your life on hold for AS? No, for him.
I'm going to tell you one other thing as well, before I sort of come to you for any final questions or anything. But I've never had children that I know of.
That you know of. I knew that was coming. I knew it was a blokey thing to say.
A DJ thing to say. But I've had a pup. Like Emma, my wife, has now she's got us a little puppy.
Fur baby.
He's a fur baby. His name's Frankie. He honestly, separation anxiety from I can't leave him on his own. I mean, literally, he's on his own at the moment, and I'm hoping he's not wrecking the house. I'm kind of like, I don't like leaving him on his own, because he gets like all, he loves being with people, like a child. Do you know what I mean? He loves being around people, and therefore I don't want to leave the puppy on his own. He's like our little baby. You know what I mean? So I can't even imagine what it must be like with a child. You know what I mean?
That's what it's like.
I mean, me traveling around DJing at 65 countries and all the stuff I did when I was young, I didn't have any ties. You know what I mean? So I could just go and do it. And I'm grateful for that. In the fact that I wasn't ready to have children in any way, shape, or form them at all. But thankfully, I just got on and did my life, and that's the story that's there, right? But the fact that you've juggled it all, and actually, are still smiling and still creating. That's the big one, creating. And you are, whenever you decide to do it, are going to be able to write a wonderful book as well.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah,
it'll be a very long book.
Fine. You go listen. You'll have a lot of people going to be very, very interested to hear how you've worked your way through all of these challenges and more. And people always want to say, when you get to the top, and you and I are both on our journey in our own different ways. But when you get to the top, people are very quick to say, "Oh, brilliant, well done." They don't see the struggle. They don't see the struggle. Like you said, they see 20% or even 10% of your life. They don't see the rest of it. And that's when you get to tell your story, because you say, well, here's the struggle. This is what I went through to get to that point. And Talia, you're going to have you've got an amazing story already. You're going to have an incredible story when you start, doing #1 albums and all sorts of tours and all sorts of other stuff as your baby grows. That's the goal. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I know that. I mean, hey, listen, you're working with one of the, you're working with a guy that was in a band before that filled stadiums and did, all sorts of stuff.
Does fill stadiums.
Well, there you go. Exactly. You're working with a guy that does that. So you're in the right place, and absolute all power to you, Talia, because, I think you're amazing. I want to say, before you go, is there anything that we haven't covered? Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, not really. Just thank you for having me, and obviously, where to find me on social media.
Yeah, so you do a lot of Instagram stuff, right?
Oh yeah, I'm on TikTok as well. I'm still in the process of putting my album together, so that is the actual next step. I'm still choosing songs to put out first, but please do check out my album when it's arrived, when it's born, when it's been birthed.
Absolutely. So they can just find you by putting into Google Talia Dean, and they'll find you on Insta and Facebook, everywhere, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm everywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm everywhere too. We ain't hiding, are we? It's like, hello. You don't hide these days. I'm going to leave the last word to Jim, who's been a real big part of this. I love this little quote he's put up here. Look, it only took me 30 years to become an overnight success. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? So amazing chat. Yes, it has been an amazing chat. I want to say thank you so much for being on Straight Talking, Talia. It's been wonderful to meet you and hear your story. Your journey's phenomenal, and please do share the stream. Support Talia in her music, and watch out for the Mark Wilkinson remix of Get Up, which will be on its way at some point in the not too distant future.
Yes, we need to have a meeting. We need to have a meeting about this.
Don't you worry. What I'm going to do. I'll say this in public. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm working on a demo. Once I've got a demo, I'll send you the demo. You can have a listen to it, and then we'll have a chat from there.
Ooh.
Anyway. Have a wonderful rest of the evening. I want to say big love to everyone for watching, and thanks very much. You stay where you are, Talia, and I'll just let everyone else go. Thanks, guys, for joining Straight Talking. It's been great.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Big love. Big love.